Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hunkroom Gaming channel. Today we will be talking about X4 Foundations. X4 picks up where the last X game left off, right after the gates have begun to realign. So the map is a little bit bigger, you have more gates that are active, and basically makes the exploration that much more fun. Now you still have the highways that you used to take, but I think they're done a little bit better. The only thing that really bothers me about what's left over is the fact the police sirens you can still hear inside your ship, which doesn't make sense. It's been a while since I played X games, but the last one I played was X3 Terran Conflict, and I did like it a little bit more than X3 Reunions. Now, the last X game I skipped. I don't even remember the name of it, but this one I wanted to try out because a lot of people said that, you know, this is going back to what X3 was, and in some ways they have. Now, some of the commands for your property are a bit difficult, and really I think they try to make it more intuitive, and in doing that they kind of took away from it. Now, the way they used to control your property was you go into your property list, you select the ship, you select its orders menu, you enter an order, and then you select a station or coordinates where you need to go. Right now, it's not like that. You select the ship in your properties menu, and then you use the map to make the orders. Like if you click on right click on a station, you will have the orders, the option of the orders for that station: dock at, attack, flight to, and so on. What they did make easier is building your stations. You don't have to sit in your ship and kind of guess where you're placing it. They made it a lot easier. You sit in your ship, you open your map, you go to plot management, you buy a plot, you select the plot, and a box pops up with a planning center. So basically you just rotate that box and set up your station the way you wanted to. And they also made station building much easier because you don't have to buy the station and build it to see how it looks like. What you do is you build your station, and then you hire a builder who buys all the components like hull parts, engine components, solar cells, so on. It comes in and just builds the station according to your plans, which you made. So I think that's more fun. Now, there are a bunch of bugs, and they do break a lot of the missions, and it's not a bug that I've encountered often, but I have encountered it often enough to where it's become a problem. Some of the missions are not well explained. I think this is like a theme from the X games. Like one of the missions told me to go dock at the place, and I docked at the place, and the mission didn't continue to tell me what the next step is. So I was just wandering around the station, and then I noticed that the NPC told me to find the elevators. Well, I went to every single thing that could be an elevator, including the transporter. It didn't continue the mission, and all of a sudden I noticed that there's a research area, so I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go to every single area. I went to the research area first, and there the NPC was. It could have told me to go to the research area, but it didn't. It told me to go to the elevator, and then do what? Pick my nose? I don't know. Now, the dealerships are fun, but you can't go to a dealership and say, hey, I want to trade in my ship and buy a new one. No, what you do is you gotta go sell your ship and then see if you can buy a new one, because you do that from the map as well. You click on the ship you want to sell, you right click on a wharf or a shipyard, and you sell your ship. The difference between a wharf and a shipyard is the shipyards build ships that are large and extra large. The wharfs build ships that are small and medium. Why did they have to split it up? I have no idea. Now, there's also a lot of new manufacturing facilities, at least new to me. So there's a lot of trading going on. Now, also the shipyards and the wharfs don't build your ship unless they have all the parts, and I thought I should warn you about that. If you sell your ship, make sure you're selling it to a wharf or a shipyard that already has parts to build you a new one. Because otherwise you'll be stuck, and you'll be waiting in a queue because NPCs are buying ships as well. So if somebody bought ships before you and the wharf doesn't have the parts, well, you'll be waiting for a long time especially if you don't have a trader, or if you don't have a trading ship that you can order around so it can buy parts and so on. Now, another problem, early game, a lot of the stations don't have raw materials because I guess they decided to balance it that way. Now the problem is I was a fighter, so I didn't really trade with the stations, so they never really got materials and nobody really decided to compete with me. I guess that's how the AI works. So none of the stations are getting resources. So what I had to do is actually buy a trading ship, a hauler, and use it to jumpstart, so to speak, the economy. And I'm still working on that. So right now I'm stuck without a fighting ship because mine is being built in a wharf that doesn't have engine parts. And to get engine parts, I gotta do a lot of mining, supply that engine part factory, and get it up in building. Because right now there's only one engine part factory which I have discovered. Now, you know how X games work. As I discover more stuff, it'll be a little bit easier, but right now it isn't. So that's my experience with X4 Foundations. Now, time for the grade. I think this game gets a 7.5. Now, why a 7.5? It's mostly because of the bugs. Without the bugs, I could give it an 8.5, maybe 9. Please remember that I'm using the percentage scale, so it's just divided by 10. So 10 out of 10 is 100%. If you get 100% on a test, that means you did everything perfectly, right? All right, so there's not going to be many games that do everything perfectly, so 100% for me is difficult to get. 90% means you did 90% of the work, and you got something wrong here, something wrong there, but nothing big. If I give a game a 6, it's a passing grade in my book. A D is a passing grade in my book. That's why we have the F, because F is the failing grade. It's F for failing, and D is passing. So if some of you have seen me give 6s, I gave a 6, I believe, to Far Cry 5 because, well, it was minimal effort to make that game. It was basically a copy of every single other Far Cry game. It was just put together and just shipped. That's it. May as well have been a reskin, especially the new one, New Dawn. That's probably just a reskin. Anyway, so I'm giving this one a 7.5 out of 10. 75%, that's not bad. That's exactly average, actually. So, is it worth it? That's up to you. Do you like X games? If you do, it's worth it. If you don't, buy Terran Conflict. And also, X games are really dependent on the community. Like, if the community hasn't figured out how to do something and you don't know how to do it, you're not gonna find it in manuals. And they have stripped the game of even more information, and they have stripped the game from weapon variety. There's barely any weapon variety in the game right now. That's why the low grade. It's just missing too much stuff. Right now, it's better as a trading simulator than as a flight sim, space flight sim. That's why the low grade, 7.5. Thank you for visiting Hunkroom Gaming Channel, and I will see you next time.